You know what? We all want love, but most of us don't want to date to get it because, let's be honest, dating kind of sucks. But I fully believe it doesn't have to if we actually know what we're doing. Hi, I'm Kira Sabin, and this is Reinventing Dating, a smart and sweary podcast for all singles to learn the mindsets and skills to date with intention and confidence. Join me weekly as I break down the science and psychology behind what's working in our dating culture and what isn't. Every week, I'll bring a new topic, a trend, a skill, or mindset that can help us get out of our own way to learn how to date for relationships that we actually want. Because I fully believe and know that love isn't broken, but dating kind of is. So let's reinvent it together. Well, hello there, Sugar Pantses. Welcome to another episode of Reinventing Dating. I'm Kira, and today we're going to dive right back into another Foundations episode. Today we're going to talk about the 5 stages of relationships. Now, wait, did you even know that relationships have stages? I certainly didn't before I started doing this work. And as simple as this is going to sound today, I kind of think it's mind-blowing. It's going along with last week and our theories of love, but we're going to get right into it. So let's dig in. So before we begin, I want you to know I'm not making this up or anything. This is research, this is psychology, and it's not from me. This is actually work from Dr. Susan Campbell. And there are quite a few theories and ideas out there about the stages of relationships. Another one I like, which is a 3-stage, is Harville Hendrix. I'm a big Harville Hendrix fan and an Imago fan. But I think I like this one just a little bit better. And part of the reason that you're listening to this podcast or that you work with me is so that I can kind of wade through all of this information and psychology and science and research and then bring it to you in kind of more simple, bite-sized pieces, right? So let's get into stage 1. Now, stage 1 is a stage that we all know and love. I think that this is what almost every movie or TV show is highlighting. This is what's in books, and this is exactly what we learned was the falling in love theory last week. So the first stage is called the romance stage. Now, you may have also heard it called the honeymoon period or the honeymoon phase. I personally like to call it the obsessive love phase because that's kind of what it is. During this stage, we have a chemical cocktail going on in our body, and we become almost obsessed with the other person. But this is just a stage. And if we're using our information from last week, this stage goes along with the falling in love theory. Now, here's what we know about the romance stage. It can last up to 2 years. It's usually about 6 months to 2 years, and it ends as quickly as it begins. So if you've ever started dating somebody, started making out with somebody, and it's like this wall of emotions, this wall of excitement, that's the honeymoon phase. That's the romance stage. Now, in the romance stage, we experience a version, but not the true form of love. We experience infatuation. Now, I want to take a little sidestep here and talk about infatuation, what kind of fuels infatuation, why it feels so fucking good, and then also what happens after. So I found this great article from Harvard, because we're fucking fancy over here. And it's quoting Dr. Helen Fisher, who is an incredible researcher and scientist when it comes to love, attraction, lust, all of it. And she is quoted here to say what exactly happens during infatuation or the obsessive love phase. So what happens is dopamine gets triggered, and that's produced by the hypothalamus. And it's particularly a well-publicized player in the brain's reward pathway. It's released when we do things that feel good to us. Now, in this case, these include spending time with loved ones, having sex. Now, high levels of dopamine and a related hormone, norepinephrine, which I just recorded like 4 times, by the way, are released during attraction. And attraction is what we confuse with love at first sight, right? Have you ever heard anybody say, I just saw them across the room and I knew? What they know is that there's an attraction. And when that other person responds to that, that means it's a mutual attraction. And these chemicals that are kicked in during attraction make us giddy, energetic, and euphoric, even leading to decreased appetite and insomnia, which means you actually can be so, quote unquote, in love that you can't eat and sleep. In fact, norepinephrine, also known as noradrenaline, may sound familiar because it plays a large role in the fight or flight response, which kicks into high gear when we're stressed and it keeps us alert. So brain scans of people in love have actually shown that the primary reward centers of the brain fire like crazy when people are shown a photo of someone they're intensely attracted to versus somebody who they feel neutral about or an acquaintance or things like that. So infatuation, which actually has the definition, if you go look up Dr. Google, of a feeling of foolish or obsessive strong love for, admiration for, or interest in someone that is strong and unreasoning attachment. I just laugh because when you're in that phase, that's exactly what it feels like. It feels almost out of control. Like we can't stop thinking about them. We can't stop wanting to be with them, to kiss them. I remember the beginning with Danny, and I was mildly obsessed. It's absolutely true. And as gross as that is, just kind of say out loud, that fully just buys into that first stage. Now, those chemicals that I just talked to, the hormones, the dopamine, the norepinephrine, yes, I just did it. They all trigger like cocaine in your brain. That's why some scientists actually call this the drug addiction phase, because what we're feeling is like cocaine and it's infatuation. Now, why does our body do this? This is the natural response to encourage us to reproduce. Okay, how unsexy is that, right? That's not love. That's not like exciting. But that's true. Our bodies naturally kind of create these hormones of connection and excitement to want us to reproduce and keep going with humanity. Now, during this phase also, we are so obsessed. We're so in love, supposedly, right? That we feel like love will conquer all. There's nothing, like we can't see that anything would ever break us up. We're just so blind to all of the things. And as I mentioned, this is the kind of stage that we see in movies. The people, quote unquote, falling in love, deep attraction, deep infatuation, obsessive love. And here's the hard thing about this. Many people out there think that the feelings they get in this phase of infatuation, of deep attraction, are actually love. And what happens is those people who don't know about the stages of relationship don't really understand what love is. As soon as that feeling starts to end, which it does, because it's a stage and stages don't last forever, they think they've fallen out of love. But really, they've just shifted from the attraction and infatuation phase into stage number 2, bump, 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 the power struggle phase. Now, this is also called the love hangover phase. Now, the highest percentage of first marriages, divorces happen here, and it's around the 3 to 4 year mark. And this is such a painful time for most couples because the illusion that romantic love will last forever falls away. And we can start feeling disappointed. We start even feeling angry. And we are mad at our partner and the universe for making us believe that we had love and we didn't. So instead of seeing the similarities as you did in the romance stage or the honeymoon period, now all you see is the differences and flaws. So basically, that dopamine, that norepinephrine, the adrenaline calms the fuck down. And now you have a real human in front of you with goods, with not so goods, with flaws. So what happens in this phase is we start to get to work trying to change our partner back into the person that we originally hoped they were. Or we get mad and we punish them for not being that way, or both. This is a real thing, and this happens for both people. This is also where our attachment styles can flare up, causing the power struggle. So the anxious holding on tight, wanting to talk about it all the time, wanting to fix things, and then the avoidant pulling away because both people are confused by why they don't feel the same way as they used to. Now, I love to talk a little bit about a moment that I remember happening with Danny. We were at this point living together. We had been together probably about 2 years, so right on time. And we're watching some TV show, and I heard him laugh. And it's so weird because it was like the first time I heard him laugh, and it was kind of an annoying laugh. And then I also realized I'd heard him laugh that way 1,000 times before, but not until this day did I go, oh, that's a little annoying. That's the power struggle phase showing up. Now, luckily, Danny and I had used our love addiction phase, our obsessive love phase, our honeymoon period, our romance phase, to truly get to know each other. To take down those walls and that magic and figure out who each other was, how we worked, and we kind of set ourselves up for success for that power struggle phase. We were able to work through it. By the way, that's exactly what I teach. Dating to be able to create relationships that get through these phases. So 2 things are going to happen, right? At that phase. Now, it's going to last for you two, and how long it lasts will depend on your willingness to embrace change. Now, that usually is a part of growth mindset and resilience. Being able to recognize your role in your childhood history or unhealed wounds and what they might be playing in that relationship. And then the quality of the knowledge and skills you have to repair them. Now, without the skill to navigate the power struggle stage and resolve your differences, you'll keep returning to this painful stage over and over and over again throughout your relationship. You won't get past it. You might feel like you're past it, but you'll just keep coming back to it. Now, you might be listening to this going, oh, well, that sucks. I'm basically going to get to feel good for maybe up to 2 years, and then I'm going to have this power struggle phase. And who knows if we're going to get through it, because a lot of couples don't. I mean, a lot. And either they divorce or they stay together and make each other miserable. So what are some of these examples of the power struggle phase? What does this look like? Let me tell you. Arguing about parenting or family finances or household responsibilities, especially when we have not taken our time during that honeymoon phase to kind of set up some of these things or have these tougher conversations. This can be a major blow to a relationship when you find out all of a sudden that person uses their money one way and it doesn't feel good to you. Or they want to parent one way and you want to parent another way, or maybe they don't even want kids. When we do not prep ourselves well for this phase, this can be jarring. Next, they're arguing about major life decisions. where to live, jobs to take. One partner might constantly be making the other partner feel like they're not enough. One partner might be feeling entitled to have more decision-making privileges because they make more money. This is a really big thing. And this is something that's really pushing up against our dating culture right now, which honestly, I'd rather have it push up in the dating space than when you're already married and have children. This is also why I am really hardcore about people paying for themselves on their first date or first couple of dates, so you don't put yourself instantly in that power struggle phase. Next, one of the partners may make regular passive aggressive comments, and at the end will just say, "Oh, I'm just joking." What about the silent treatment or not talking to each other? Now, going back to our theory last week of what love is, we can't have love on a daily basis if we don't feel seen, heard, cared for, like we can trust the other person. So you can see how the power struggle phase really kicks a lot of couples' asses. Because if you have not had those discussions, if you have not learned how to work through your problems, if you have not learned how to have tough conversations, this will absolutely stop and end your relationship. Now, hopefully, you've maybe worked with me or you guys went to therapy and you make it to the third stage. Huzzah! Yay, good for you. So I love this description that I read online, that once you've learned how to fight in a way where both of you win, you get to move to the stability stage. Now, if you've actually resolved your differences and gotten on the same page together, the thrill of being loved returns. And this time, it's a deeper, more mature form than in the romance stage, because this is where you're able to see each other, you're able to hear each other, you feel appreciated, you feel respected, there is trust. So we get some love on a regular basis now. Whoop, whoop, right? Now, in the stability stage, it finally becomes clear that you're never going to succeed in changing your partner, and you've given up trying to. You're okay with your partner being different from you. You both have clear boundaries. You've learned mutual respect. And if you don't, the hurtful pages of the power struggle will keep coming back and keep haunting you. So finally, stage 4 is the commitment stage. And I would say this is where Danny and I are most of the time. So the commitment stage has nothing to do with getting married or getting engaged. The commitment stage is when you fully surrender to the reality that you and your partner are human and that relationship has shortcomings as a result. Now you've learned to love each other by having to like each other, and you choose each other consciously every single day, because to me, that is what love looks like. Somebody saying, I'm going to keep coming back minute after minute, hour after hour, day after day, and say, I choose you. I choose this process of a long-term relationship with you. You can honestly say to your partner at this stage, I don't need you. I choose you, knowing all I know about you, good and bad. And I feel like this is where we've gotten stuck in dating right now. Because we are making quick snap judgments online, because we feel like we don't really need these relationships anymore, we never get to a phase where we choose somebody as is. Next, you begin to experience a beautiful balance of love, belonging, fun, power, and freedom. Honestly, and I mean this when I say this, those of you guys who have followed me for a long time know that Danny worked in my business for a long time, and he's gone back to work just because of inflation and us experiencing the exact same thing that everybody else is experiencing right now. And here's what I will tell you. I miss him. How many couples do you know could work full-time, live together full-time, even move to foreign countries together, and still want to spend all day, every day together? To me, that's what I'm doing here. I am building relationships where people want to spend time together, that they're not talking to their friends about their partner's shortcomings. I don't ever talk about shit like that with my friends, because if there's shortcomings, Danny and I are talking it out. I can't even explain to you that I'm not trying to help people date to get in a relationship. I'm helping you date to get in a relationship you actually want and you want to keep for a long ass time. Because otherwise, what's the point? So this commitment phase, this is where we should get married and consider having kids. And you know as well as I do that that usually actually happens in the first stage. Now, let's imagine how hard that is. Like having children, the financial strain of that, the exhaustion of it when you don't have a relationship that feels good and is working, man, of course you're going to struggle. That doesn't mean either or both of you are broken. That just means you haven't set up your relationship to work. And the final stage is the bliss and co-creation stage. Now, I think there's a lot of people who don't ever hit that stage, and that's okay. But in this stage, your relationship evolves beyond the boundaries of your family unit. And like a teenager leaving home, it moves out into the world. You've learned that love is not infatuation, love is not power, and love is not just commitment. The two of you are both naturally called back to give to society in some way. Often couples in this stage work on a collaborative project together. It's usually some kind of shared creative work that is intended to make the world a better place. And that project could be anything from a business, a charity, artwork, a consciously raised child. And neither of you would have been able to dream up this project on your own. It naturally emerges as a result of you growing as a couple. Okay, guys, so what stage have you gotten to? Now, if you say, ugh, the power struggle phase, you're with the majority, but you don't have to be. I realize that what I'm doing over here is a little nutty, a little idealistic, but I also know it works. And I've seen it in myself and my own relationship, and I've seen it in hundreds, if not thousands of my clients who are now in successful relationships. You're not broken. The people you're choosing aren't broken. You're not setting relationships up for success to feel good and have love. And when we realize these stages, when we realize what love actually is, when we can slowly but surely connect with somebody, let them into our lives, we can create not relationships, but stunning and beautiful partnerships where everybody feels loved every day. Life is still going to come at you. Shitty things are still going to happen, but you'll have a teammate to do it with. That's what I teach here. All right, guys. That's it for today. What did you learn about love today? I love to hear from you. Slide into my DMs on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook Messenger, or you can email me at Kira@reinventingdating. And if you're loving these podcasts and you want to dig in a little bit more, join me in the Reinventing Dating podcast membership, $20 a month. You get access not only to these, but to extra episodes and over 300 of my past episodes. You can sign up at learn.reinventingdating.com. All right, guys, thank you for joining me today. I will be here next week, and we're going to be discussing the history of love, dating, and relationships that everyone needs to know. All right, guys, that's it for today. If you love this, subscribe, share it with your friends, and let's reinvent dating together.